Hello to all my people. And if you're watching live, checking us out on YouTube, or listening on your favorite podcast provider, you are most definitely my people. Welcome to another episode of Botch Bots and Chair Shots. I am still your host, even after a month of hiatus. I'm a chef by trade and a mark by choice. I am the Will Gray. And joining me tonight, we have a fantastic panel of guests. First and foremost, making his return to Rivet City Radio. We've got a lot to talk about after this weekend. He is one Ambassador Biggs. He is the ambassador of Wrestle Addict Radio and the host of Kings of the Rings podcast, King Ricky Rose. Ricky, how are you, sir?
I am doing great. I had a fantastic weekend in sports. The Yankees won. The Florida Gators won. Tennessee lost. It has been a fantastic weekend thus far.
I did not know that because I went to bed last night. Tennessee lost.
Yeah, to Arkansas.
Oh shit! Who said that at the beginning? Someone said that. Someone said that. It was me. It was me.
Wow.
Bama lost too to Vandy. That's the
oh,
shocker.
dude, I cried. It was so
that was a game.
They carried that goalpost 2.5 miles to the river.
It took it down Broadway.
Yeah, it's between, I would say, the better part of 3 for sure, at least. After you take into the fact that they don't come right out onto West End, they've got to take it through campus to West End, across to Broadway.
No, you just have to go down by the Wendy's.
You're thinking about, like, as the crow flies, as you would walk out of the stadium, not 20,000 people carrying a filled goalpost. It's a little bit different.
Listen, those Vandy kids are smart. They got some ingenuity to them. They figured it out.
Hey, Quan, it's good to see you. But also here making his Rivet City Radio debut on the big show, Botch Bots and Chair Shots, the executive producer of Nerdy News 1, AJ Hoover. AJ, welcome to the club, brother. How are you?
I'm good. You forgot to say co-host of NXT on Tap.
Co-host of NXT on Tap, man. I'm just all out of the loop these days. I take a month off of work, and it's just like all hell breaks loose. How are you? You excited to be here on a Sunday?
I'm good.
Fantastic. And then rounding out the panel is the big 3 of the big show. First and foremost is the host of Botch Bots and Chair Shots, Nerdy News, NXT on Tap, Boyfriend Time, the Wolfpack Podcast, and sometime, sorry for the interruption, but personally, my best friend, everybody's favorite Ginger Ninja Jax. Bo Jax, welcome back. How are you? We missed you. We love you.
I'm doing great. Actually, real good today.
Good. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad it's going well. I like your hat, by the way.
Thank you. I got this in Tennessee.
Yeah?
Yes, it was very lovely.
That's fine. Did you have a good trip while you were here?
I did. I had a great trip.
Good. And then perched upon her throne in the boss bitch's corner, she is the Beyonce to my Hova, the Bonnie to my Clyde. She is the brains behind Rivet City Radio. And I'm probably going to need to change the first line of that now that I think about it and I say it on like out loud for the first time. Because Beyonce and Jay are kind of in some hot water right now.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly
in some hot water right now.
I will not believe Jaguar right for anything right now. So.
Quan, I've been doing that for years, man. I don't know how that's the first time you've ever heard me do that. It's the boss bitch, Al. Al, how's Sunday?
Sunday's good. We rickrolled the Waffle House this morning. Hadn't done that in a minute.
That was fun.
Shout out to Waffle House.
Shout out to Waffle House.
Shout out to Waffle House. What the fuck else did we do today?
We moved the office around because I got
we changed the office fucking again. Because why wouldn't we? Yeah, it's been a productive day. Started watching a new really cute show on the Netflix. So.
Oh yeah. So you know what we gotta do now?
Please the algorithmic gods.
That's right, we do. If you're watching at youtube.com/Rivet City Radio, it is free to like, comment, subscribe, unsubscribe, then subscribe again. Leave a comment telling me how great we sound or how terrible we sound. Either way, it boosts the algorithm. If you're watching at twitch.tv/Rivet City Radio, it's free to do all those things but subscribe. We'll get to that later. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we appreciate you catching us after the fact. It is always pleasant to watch us live, but we appreciate you keeping us in the rankings. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here, though. Let's get to work. What has you pissed off for greatness this week? There's been lots to talk about. We haven't been on for the better part of a month. Like I said, there's been tons going on inside and outside of our personal lives. But what has you the most worked up this week? Good, bad, indifferent, wrestling or otherwise? What has you pissed off for greatness this week, in or out of the world of pro wrestling?
I'll go
first. You're gonna go first, AJ? Just right off the rip. Holy shit, I didn't even finish my line. Go ahead.
AEW in general, you have a 5-year anniversary show when it's not really a good show. Best part of the whole thing was Serena D versus Britt Baker. The only good thing about that show.
Britt Baker still.
Yeah, but it was a good match.
I think that Dynamite was, in my opinion, in the top 2 or 3 shows this week. So I think that the ending really saved the main event. I think Okada and Danielson could have been a little bit tighter than what it was. And I'm sure we might talk about that later, so I won't go too deep. But I still think Dynamite was pretty good. So
what I remember, it was good.
Shadow, how are you? Scowls.
I'll get to it at some point. I need to DVR. I DVR'd it, so I'll get to it.
I don't give a fuck.
I mean, I do. I tried to. And like things like I started getting like life got in the way, and I started to be social for a while, and I was like, oh crap, there's life outside of my 4 walls, and then I was like, oh crap, there's I have other responsibilities. Oh crap, what happened? It was like, thank God for DVR saving my ass. But I'll get to it.
Anybody else got anything to throw in about the Dynamite? AJ said it just wasn't quite up to snuff.
I didn't even know it was an anniversary show, to be fair.
It was the 5th anniversary, to the day, wasn't it, of the first episode?
I think to the date, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I have an interesting factoid that I have uncovered that we'll get to in these rumors.
I love it when you do your deep dives, especially about the Khan family.
Dude, it was like totally random, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
I'm gonna go. I am tired of all these people like shitting on WWE because they think it's cool. Like, I'm too cool to watch WWE, so I'm just gonna talk and shit on it so that I can get the views from the people that do watch it. Like, what did you call it earlier? Like,
they're engagement farming.
Yeah,
they're saying stuff that they know will get a rile out of people and get people worked up, and they'll engage with the post because it's made to make people mad.
There's a word for it. It's like hate something.
Hate
Somebody
watching?
said it.
Or hate posting.
Hate posting is a good one for it.
But like,
hate watching is the one that's most recently come about. Is the people, and you see it on both sides in AEW and WWE. But the people who will watch it specifically to shit on it, Shadow says those people are absolute nerds. Nerds.
It's just so dumb to me. Like, you pretend like you hate something so that you can get the views.
It actually comes to bite them in the ass because, WWE and or AEW thanks you for that engagement. It just makes all of their stuff and all their content better.
Like, get an original fucking thought, bro.
You're asking too much.
Fair.
Or gal, whoever you may be.
Thank you for the gifted sub. Going to Shadow. What's up? Thank you for the sub. I hate both products equally, but AEW is a major indie. Whoever gifted me, thank you. We thank you for the gift. Thank you, all of it. I disagree because I take that back. I wholeheartedly agree. In my opinion, anybody in the wrestling world outside of the WWE, which is the only publicly traded company, are all independent wrestling companies because they're all independently and privately owned by one family or company, in my opinion. Like, I think people think independent wrestling and they think high school gyms and fucking like black folding chairs and cheap rope barricades. And there's a lot of really high grade independent wrestling out there. And I mean, I may be an unpopular opinion. AEW is one of them. They're a high grade indie. Just because they have a multi-million-dollar TV deal doesn't remove that.
Outside of the money that's being bankrolled to them, they are essentially just indie-rific on TV.
There's a lot of toxic virtue signaling with this representation conversation. It's a valid convo, but there's a lot of, hey, let's just shit on a company without a nuance.
Oh yeah, Saquon's queuing me up right now. I love it. You know, black people.
See, I think that I was going to wait to bring it up, and Quan brought it up there, and Scows brought it up at the top. The BW 500 came out, and a bunch of people are having their feathers ruffled because it was made by a fan. And what's up, Spicy Guac in the house? We're back, man. I appreciate you stopping by on YouTube, brother. You're right. So many people were shitting on Triple H last night, but I don't see it. Ricky, you're up. You're up. I'm not even going to say nothing after the conversation we had. That comment was made for you.
That comment was made for me.
Smoke and let you do your thing. I love you.
Oh, yes, please. Yeah, this is it is called Pissed Off Regardless, but I am just pissed off. Here's the thing: as the resident POC, in the village right now of you napkin colored folks, I love you guys. Listen, Cracker just was never strong enough for me, so napkin colored, palm colored, it kind of works out. Anywho, so Triple H last night after the Bad Blood presser, he was asked the question, pretty much talking about the lack of black representation on the show in the city of Atlanta, a city that is historically and continues to be a predominantly black and Mayo Monkeys, thank you, a predominantly black and African American populated city, probably the most predominantly black African American and black city in all of America. The fact of the matter is there was no black or African American performers that were on the show. Samoans don't count. They're Samoan, clearly. And Tongans, yeah. There is a literal difference with that as well. So the reporter, I believe, asked pretty much, how do you assess who gets on the show or not, especially seeing that you're in a place like Atlanta? Triple H said 3 things that should rattle everybody. He said, I do not see color. I do not see gender. He said, I don't see color. I don't see gender. I don't see like pretty much ethnicity. All I see is talent. And on the surface, because this is an argument that goes back decades at this point, and using MLK as a scapegoat is the worst thing you can ever do. Because that argument, that way of thinking is based on the idea that everybody has an equal experience. And that is not correct. If you refuse to see color, if you refuse to see gender, if you refuse to see ethnicity, you are refusing to see and validate my experience as a whole or anybody else's experience. Males, cisgender or from a science standpoint, male-bodied people and female-bodied peoples see the world differently. African-American people and white people will see the world differently. We have different experiences. That's what makes us who we are. And we all had the same experience. That argument of I don't see color would work in an ideal place, but that's not the world. That is not equality. That's not the world. That's not just reality. Reality is you are shaped. Your reality is shaped by what you are privy to, what you see, what you do, your education. There is a bunch of factors that go into it. And ideally, in the world of pro wrestling, and then also you can even expand into the world of comics, it is a parody. It is a mirror of what you see in real life. Usually it is art imitating life in some way, shape, or form, whether it be comedic, whether it be serious, whether it be something to kind of rile you up. But for Triple H to say, I don't see color or ethnicity, when you had Bianca, Naomi, Jade Cargill host the show, you had about 3 prominent rappers, all African American, Metro Boomin, Little Baby, who's won a freaking Grammy, and Quavo of Migos in the crowd. You take pictures of Metro Boomin. Metro Boomin was a part of the promo for months for this event. You had Bianca, Jade, and Naomi in a suite throwing a party in Atlanta, which is unbelievably black coded. Unbelievably,
you know they were all high too. I saw the smoke.
Yeah,
I saw
unbelievably black coded. And to say that you don't see color, it's kind of just like a slap in the face when you had backlash in Puerto Rico. You gave monumental moments to Zelina Vega, who's Puerto Rican descent, to Damian Priest, who has Puerto Rican descent, to Bad Bunny was performing on your show, and it's Puerto Rico. You had Bash in Berlin, who was the headliner, Gunther. You use it to push it. And listen, talent is going to be exploited to make money. That's kind of how capitalism works. That's how the wrestling world works. But it's one thing to use that and not actually feature them on the show, and it's another thing to actually have them on the show, and it kind of makes a big difference. And I never thought I would say it as I was thinking about this today. This is, I think, one of the areas where Vince kind of has an advantage on Triple H. And granted, yeah, no, wait for it. Okay. Yeah. Again, Vince was all about the show. Whenever there was a controversy, whether it be good, whether it be bad, instead of using it as a prop to elevate sales for a show, Vince actually made it a part of the show. Example one, I'll give you, Kofi Kingston. The whole Kofi Mania storyline leading into WrestleMania 35 was based on pretty much real life concerns. You had a prominent African American person who had been around for 14 years, who had never had any problems, never had any issues, and never got a title shot, even though he was very highly talented. Vince said, "Okay, let's put it on TV." A way that he did it in probably a negative way, the infamous, which involved Triple H, the infamous "people like you don't become world champion" to Booker T, leading into, I believe, WrestleMania 17. Fact of the matter is, when these things came up, yes, Vince exploited it and used it for TV, but it was on TV. It was a main storyline in the show. It wasn't, hey, here are all our black performers and all these black artists that we paid to be here as a sideshow to show kind of representation, when you did it for other people. Like Triple H can say he doesn't see color, but he definitely was in blackface during the Nation of Domination. Granted, it was agreed upon, but still, there's the thing. Triple H can say he doesn't see color or gender or stuff, but look at what he did in NXT. How many POCs or people of color that he helped to elevate when he was there? And Shawn Michaels has taken that and ran with it too. So like, he does see color. Maybe this is like it was 19. Thank you, Taquan. And it's just a PR disaster. And I don't think Triple H thinks it is as effective. I don't think it's as effective as Triple H thought it would be. And it's really ironic because Will also sent me this too. Cody Rhodes, the top guy, had an interview with AEW, and he said pretty much that, I used to be one of those guys. So this is back when he was in AEW. And Brandy was like, no, if you refuse to see color, you refuse to see my experience. You refuse to see me as a person. And I think that's the thing that this is going to kick him in the ass for a considerable amount of time until he gets it together, because he says I don't see color, but like you looked at other things. Like Triple H is also the creative person behind the LWO. How do you not see color and gender and ethnicity?
Especially in 2024.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like I know what he was trying to say, but it was totally the wrong thing to say at the time. And it kind of puts a damper on the event. Like we all kind of knew it coming in, and we all knew what like the main storylines were coming in, and just so happened to not feature some, prominent African-American people of color. And that happens sometimes, but to go, and you can say that and be like, hey, I wasn't aware of this. We probably should have done this, this kind of, it's kind of occurred. But to go on and say, I don't see color, I don't see gender, I don't see ethnicity is kind of a Tony Khan level of a fuck up. And Tony Khan has said some weird crap in pressers or in like press releases. And I also want to say before, sorry, Will, I want to say this this isn't just a WWE thing. This is widespread across most of the history of professional wrestling. It just comes out in different ways. I remember when Big Swole had this whole concern, and there was concern about why she left and stuff, and Tony Khan went on record and said she just wasn't good enough. compared to and when you look at the roster they had at the time, you're like absolutely insane. There's been and AEW by and large has done a better job with their people of color than WWE has. It took WWE over 50 years to get an African American as world heavyweight champion. It took AEW less than 5. So it's one of those things where it's like, yes, one team's doing better than the other, but to kind of like outwardly say that and you're the head of creative, it really puts some credence to what MVP said when he left WWE. So it's one of those things that I loved Bad Blood. I think it was a great event, but when you come out and say that at the end of a show, and then you look at the show and all the things that led up to the show, it makes you kind of question what's really going on in his head.
I saw people on Twitter that were making the joke yesterday during Bad Blood that it was the joke was made that Triple H didn't have enough representation of people of color on his pay-per-views, so he called an HBCU school to come in and play somebody to the ring. These were the jokes that were getting made. And I was like, oh, Trips. Okay.
That was more organic than anything, because I knew about the band playing it, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you want to come and do it? I was like, it made sense.
No, it absolutely does. Yeah. But you see the jokes that are being thrown out there because of it. I tend to agree. Like, you pretty much knocked it out of the park. Does anybody have anything that they can throw in along with what Ricky said? I don't want to just glaze through with what you said and just glaze by it, but I mean, what can you add to something so well articulated?
I ironically have a headline from News and Rumors, interestingly enough, that is kind of on this subject.
Well, we can go ahead and throw it in while we're here.
Sean Ross Sapp said on
my favorite person
Select podcast that WWE has been made aware of the lack of black male single talent who have been booked for matches on the company's main roster pay-per-views / premium live events. Sapp's never heard his WWE sources or contacts say, yes, this was intentional, but is hearing them say, well, that's obviously something that will be addressed now.
Very interesting. And I do want to address the off the top meeting. He said, what about Carmelo and SD, Woods and Kofi on Raw? Yeah, that's 3 people. Can you name any other more? And then he said, what about Overtrick, West and Kalani? The difference is that NXT has been branded for a couple of years now as not equal to the main roster. And you can see the difference in the way that the African-American and people of color talent is treated on NXT as compared to when they move up to the main roster. For instance, anybody remember Ember Moon? Where's she at these days? Athena?
Ring of Honor Women's World Champion.
Could have fooled me. There is a stark difference between how the town is treated when you're quote unquote in development, and then what happens when they go up to the main roster. And that thing hasn't really changed even since Vince. Carmelo's not a perfect example, because if Carmelo was a perfect example, he'd be kind of highlighted in a way that Braun Breaker was.
I mean, when was the last time we even saw Carmelo?
He was in a match, the injury angle with AJ.
Oh, we missed Friday, so
he was there Friday night.
Yeah,
he's fighting LA Knight.
The best of 7 series with Andrade too.
He did,
but he's not. But I see where you're coming from, and yeah, but
Carmelo's about to feud with fucking LA Knight, so that's saying something.
No, it is saying something.
On LA Knight a lot, so I'm not sure if it says a lot.
I'm glad they finally put a belt on LA Knight.
No, fair.
See you later off the top media. I see I've ruffled some peppers, but it happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
Bo, you're up. Pissed off for greatness.
I don't have one.
Really?
Wow.
You just happy to be here?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, no, you know what I mean? I really been looking for the positive and everything. So I am a little pissed off at one thing though, and it bounces off what AJ said. The AEW 5th anniversary. You put in his first month of being with the company, Ricochet in a match with Will Ospreay to open up your 5th anniversary. All right, now they had a good match. But you fucked it by having Takeshita come out, and now I got to have a Ospreay Ricochet Takeshita match at WrestleDream. Ospreay and Ricochet shouldn't have touched for a year. You could have built that like a motherfucker. But
all the way to All In next year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a long-term build, but you kind of rushed it.
My pissed off for greatness. Bo, read that. I apologize. I'm drifting around this like I'm in Tokyo right now.
Don't read the chat.
You saw it on my face as it's happening.
I was like, don't read the chat.
Where's the fucking segue?
Play right back.
Everybody abort the mission. Mine has nothing to do with any of this. And Ricky, you dropped it on me right before we went live. And this is a very nerdy news-esque host pick. But I'm gonna do this real quick. Coming from Kat Bailey at IGN. Future Halo games moving to Unreal Engine 5 as 343 Industries rebrands multiple projects in development. The future of Halo is starting to come into focus during Sunday's Halo World Championships. 343's made a number of announcements, including that it would officially be changing its name to Halo Studios and that it's working on multiple new games. In addition, the newly rebranded studio will feature all future projects developed under the Unreal Engine. That's fucking dope.
There's also screenshots, by the way, of what the engine's going to look like.
Yeah, I'm going to save all that for Tuesday. But this is fucking huge. Like the idea,
a game changer.
This is 343 becoming Halo Studios means that they're putting all of their eggs in maybe the most lucrative Xbox exclusive basket, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, this is big.
That's a huge move.
So that's big for me. That's my pissed off for greatness. I'm really excited to dive into this between now and Tuesday. Let's go. So play some Ryback. We ready to do Ryback?
Yep. Let's
I guess we are. There's a lot of tinfoil hats going on in the comments.
Let's go.